Why is the person who chooses to be alone one of the strongest in society? Welcome home, strategic mind viewers. In this age where everyone desperately clings to one another, begs for approval, and gets lost in a digital chaos, the master strategist chooses a different path, conscious and absolute solitude. Let them take aimless selfies at parties, swipe mindlessly on dating apps, or dull their minds with TikTok's temporary narcotic. Power and untouchability are not found within the crowd, but in rising above it. The one who can sit alone with their thoughts, who needs no external validation and expects nothing from anyone, is the most dangerous person in the system. Why? Because they do not respond to the system's expectations. They cannot be manipulated. Their unshakable power is built upon 7 psychological principles that the masses will never comprehend. Most of all, the 7th one. Rule 1. See the need for approval as a weakness, and never allow yourself to have it. The entire social system depends on your dependence. Every advertisement, every platform, every post whispers the same message. You are incomplete. They sell you soulmates, communities, and belonging. This is not an innocent lie, but a deliberate mechanism, a strategy to convert your emotional voids into commercial or ideological products. The system does not fear those who cannot be alone. It loves them because they are predictable consumers. What it truly fears is the person who needs no one, because that person exists outside the market, outside the equation. Dependency is the string you hand over to others so they can control you. The strategist calmly cuts that string and places themselves at the center of gravity. Rule 2. Use silence as a shield and thought as a weapon. Most people cannot sit alone with their thoughts for 5 minutes. Noise is their strongest drug, because silence reveals who they really are, and they hate that nakedness. Let them run toward the noise. You, on the other hand, use silence as a training ground, a mental therapy. As Marcus Aurelius said, all cruelty springs from weakness. This training is about facing your own fears and weaknesses. When you understand them and make peace with them rather than fight them, you gain complete immunity against the shallow games of the outside world. Once you find your way through your inner labyrinth, the traps others set for you will seem like child's play. Rule 3. Become unpredictable by creating your own values. As Nietzsche said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Most people live by values inherited from family or culture that they have never questioned. They are predictable pawns, playing roles assigned to them in someone else's script. The person who thinks for themselves and charts their own compass is dangerous, because they ask, why? They question, does this moral value serve me, or do I serve it? The one who creates their own values is unpredictable, because their reactions are not based on the crowd's reflexes, but on their inner compass. And you can never control someone whose compass you cannot read. You can only observe them from a distance. Rule 4. Replace loneliness with solitude. Replace weakness with strength. The system deliberately confuses these two states because it depends on that confusion. Loneliness is a lack. It is an internal emptiness. Such a person is a weak consumer who seeks validation, buys products, and is easily influenced. They are the system's ideal pawn. Solitude is wholeness. It is strength. It means enjoying your own company. Such a person is self-sufficient. They buy nothing and seek no approval. They think. And thinkers are always anomalies, threats to systems built on unthinking obedience. One is the system's servant, The other is the master of their own mind. Rule 5. Neutralize the weapon of rejection. What is the foundation of manipulation? The fear of rejection. Human beings long to be accepted. To be excluded, unloved, or left alone feels like a threat. That is why people often suppress their opinions and conform to the group's expectations. This is where manipulation begins. Someone recognizes this fear and controls them through promises of approval, likes, or acceptance. Unknowingly, they act as others wish, because deep down they crave belonging. But you, the viewers of this channel, will never do that. The moment you no longer need validation from others, you take the simple weapons the system aimed at you and turn them back on the players themselves. These primitive threats only work on the needy. Once others' opinions lose their power over you, you begin to see the entire playing field from above. You can clearly analyze who is pulling which strings and who is acting out of which fear. While they react emotionally, you act strategically. You are now free because you have stopped being a pawn and become the player. Rule 6. Let them label you as weird. When you walk this path, some people will not understand you. They will call you cold, arrogant, or strange. But these words are not attacks. They are confessions. When you think differently, you no longer fit into the order they know. Your freedom exposes their dependencies. That is why they try to belittle you, because they cannot face their own chains. Their judgment of you is nothing more than the sound of their fear. Do not take it personally. Just know that these labels are weak attempts to drag you back into the herd. Do not conform. Conformity means the death of your freedom. Rule 7. Become a master by being self-sufficient. Here lies the greatest paradox. The person who needs no one becomes the most attractive to everyone. Why? Because power dynamics despise emptiness. Neediness repels. Wholeness attracts like a black hole. When you are complete on your own, when you are your own power source, it becomes magnetic. People begin to orbit around you because you do not need them. They need you. At that point, attention, energy, and respect gather around you. But you must see this attention not as a reward, but as a test. Because the system will try to make you dependent again, sometimes through praise, sometimes through love, sometimes through the promise of understanding. The master strategist falls for none of these. They know that real power lies not in possessing someone, but in needing no one. The self-sufficient person cannot be controlled, and the one who cannot be controlled has arisen above the system itself. True dominance begins at that moment. And now, to close, be dangerous. Be someone who cannot be bought, manipulated, or silenced. In a world where everyone desperately tries to conform, the most radical act is to learn to stand alone. Let them make noise. You build power quietly and invisibly. Because true mastery begins not with controlling the external world, but with controlling your own mind and emotions. The one who governs themselves can govern all. When you detach from the crowd and the noise fades, only one voice remains, your own. When you can truly hear it, you are free, and the free can never be controlled. If you want to be the strongest, visit the channel.